Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Hope you are hale and hearty. You know, due to the spread of COVID-19, the whole world seems to be dismal and dreary. We don't know when things will get normal, but we have to be more prepared and skilled than ever before to face new challenges in life because life goes on. As a student, you are in an unprecedented situation. You cannot attend your regular classes. But we, the honorable teachers, are trying to take online classes for you so that you can continue with your studies. Today, I am going to take a class for the students of Honors First Year Department of English. Topic: Long Walk to Freedom, from the course Introduction to Prose, Fiction and Non-Fiction. I hope you will enjoy my class. So let's start our class. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. Nelson Mandela at the Rivonia trial in 1964. Dear students, I have started my class with the famous quote of Nelson Mandela that he made at the Rivonia trial in 1964. From this quote, I think you will get an idea of Nelson Mandela's ideology. I think you know about Nelson Mandela and his struggles, his achievements. I'll tell you about him later. So I'm welcoming you to my class again. This is a very important class for the students of Honors First Year, Department of English, course title Introduction to Prose, Fiction and Non-Fiction. Topic: Long Walk to Freedom. Dear students, you can see the cover page of the book Long Walk to Freedom, written by Nelson Mandela. It is an autobiography written by Nelson Mandela. Do you know what is an autobiography? I'm telling you. An autobiography is the life story of a person written by the person himself. So you can see this book, Long Walk to Freedom, is an autobiography written by Nelson Mandela himself. It is the life story of Nelson Mandela written by Nelson Mandela himself. The book, published in 1995 by Little Brown and Company. The book profiles Mandela's early life, coming of age, education, and 28 years in prison. So dear students, we have to study a part of this book, Long Walk to Freedom. Let's move to the next slide. Dear students, this is my first class on Long Walk to Freedom, written by Nelson Mandela. I'm going to another class on Long Walk to Freedom. I will take another class on Long Walk to Freedom. But today, in my class 1, in my first class, I'm going to discuss the following topics: Life of Nelson Mandela, Ideology of Nelson Mandela, Apartheid system in South Africa, and Mandela's fight against apartheid system in South Africa. These are the areas I'll try to cover in my class 1 on Long Walk to Freedom. Dear students, before going to the main discussion, I'd like to mention 3 famous quotes of Nelson Mandela from which you will get an idea of his ideology, you will get an idea of his struggle, and I think you will be certainly inspired by his quotes, and they will invoke thought in your mind. First one is education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Really, indeed. Next one. Everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. Nelson Mandela. So, if you want to achieve something great, you have to be dedicated, you have to be passionate about your goal. Next one is poverty is not an accident like slavery and apartheid. It is a man-made and can be removed by the actions of human being. So poverty is man-made, Mandela says. As it is man-made, he thinks it can be removed by the actions of human beings. These are the famous three quotes of Nelson Mandela. Dear students, now it's time to know about life and achievements of Nelson Mandela. This legendary figure, Nelson Mandela, he was one of the greatest political leaders of the world. He was the first black president of South Africa. He was an icon of peace and reconciliation. He freed South Africa from the shackles of apartheid. He actually fought against apartheid policy in South Africa. We will know about his life, about his struggle, and about his achievement from the following slides. So Nelson Mandela was born in 1918 and died in 2013. Nelson Mandela. We will know about him now. Nelson Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary, political leader, and philanthropist who served as president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. He was the country's first black head of state and the first elected in a fully representative democratic election. So Nelson Mandela was the first black president of South Africa. He was elected in 1994. Nelson Mandela was born on 18 July 1918, Ambezu, South Africa. He died on December 5, Houghton Estate, Johannesburg, South Africa. He died on December 5, 2013, Houghton Estate, Johannesburg, South Africa. Actually, legend never dies. We will remember him forever for his achievements. Parents, Mandela's parents were Nokafi Nosekeni, his mother. His father was Gardla Henry Mfa Kanisua. Spouse, Graça Machel, his first wife. His second wife was Winnie Mandela. And third wife was Evelyn Mays. His first wife was Evelyn Mays. Second wife was Winnie Mandela. And third wife was Graça Machel. Education. Nelson Mandela studied at different famous universities. You can see, dear students, he studied at University of Fort Hare. He studied at University of Witwatersrand. He studied at University of London, and he studied at University of South Africa. More information about Nelson Mandela. The students will know about his occupation. Activist, politician, philanthropist, lawyer. Nelson Mandela studied law at University of Fort Hare. Then he practiced law at Johannesburg. Nelson Mandela was a great politician. You know, he he was the president of the oldest political party of South Africa, that is ANC, African National Congress. He was a great philanthropist. He set up many philanthropic organizations, welfare organizations for the betterment of the people. He was a lawyer. He practiced law at Johannesburg also. His political party, African National Congress. He was the president of African National Congress. He is known for his struggle, anti-apartheid movement. He is known for his fight against apartheid policy in South Africa that actually created discrimination between among the races of the people of South Africa. He wanted to abolish this inhuman, this barbaric policy from South Africa. Awards, he got many awards, dear students. You can see Sakharov Prize, Bharat Ratna, Nishani Pakistan, Nobel Peace Prize. He got Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 with F.W.D. Clark for their work for the peaceful termination of the apartheid regime and for laying foundations for a new democratic South Africa. So, you know, Nobel Peace Prize is the most prestigious prize of the world. He got this prize with F.W.D. Clark in 1993 for their work for the peaceful termination of the apartheid regime and for laying foundations for a new democratic South Africa. He and F.W.D. Clark negotiated to end apartheid from South Africa. That's why they got the award Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. He also got Lenin Peace Prize in 1990. He also got the Presidential Medal of Freedom and hundreds more awards he got. He was a great man. He got many awards in his life for his outstanding achievements. Notable works: he wrote Long Walk to Freedom, his autobiography. Nicknames: Madiba, Dalibunga, and also Tata. These are his nicknames. Movies. Two famous movies were made on Nelson Mandela. One is Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Another one is Mandela. Dear students, we have known about life of Nelson Mandela. Now we will know his ideology of Nelson Mandela, for which he fought against apartheid regime. He wanted to abolish apartheid policy from South Africa that created segregation, separation between white and black people of South Africa. Mandela's quote, "I detest racialism because I regard it as a barbaric thing, whether it comes from a black man or a white man. Nelson Mandela. Here Nelson Mandela says he hates, he detests racism, because he regards it a barbaric thing, uncivilized thing, inhuman thing, whether it comes from a black man or whether it comes from a white man. Racism is barbaric. He hates racism extremely. He detests racism extremely. Ideology of Nelson Mandela. Ideologically, Mandela was an African nationalist and socialist. Mandela was an icon of peace and reconciliation. He wanted peace in South Africa. He wanted to reconcile. Mandela wanted to establish a peaceful and discrimination-free South Africa. Mandela wanted to overthrow the inhuman apartheid policy from South Africa, which created discrimination between black people and white people. So these are the ideologies of Nelson Mandela. He wanted to abolish, he wanted to overthrow apartheid system that created discrimination among the people. He wanted to establish a peaceful and discrimination-free South Africa in which all persons will have equal opportunities and equal facilities. Nelson Mandela quoted at the Rivonia trial in 1964. During my lifetime, I have dedicated myself to the struggle of the African people. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. Nelson Mandela at the Rivonia trial in 1964. This speech actually taken from his speech from the dock on 20 April 1964. Here we find the ideology of Nelson Mandela. We find the dream of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela dreamt of a society, of a democratic country. He wanted to establish a democratic and free society in which he thinks all persons will live together in harmony and with will have equal opportunities. Nelson Mandela says he wants to achieve this ideal, and if needs be, if it becomes necessary, then he is ready. He was ready. He was prepared to die for achieving his ideal. Mandela also says, I hate race discrimination most intensely and in all its manifestations. I have fought it all during my life. I will fight it now and will do so until the end of my days, end of my life. Nelson Mandela said this in his acceptance speech as the first black president of South Africa in 1994. So here Mandela says that he hates race discrimination most intensely, extremely, and also its manifestations. Mandela says he fought against racial discrimination throughout his life, and he wanted to fight against racism, against racial discrimination until the end of his life. Yes, students, so we have known about the ideology of Nelson Mandela, what he wanted, what he dreamt of. Nelson Mandela wanted to abolish apartheid policy from South Africa. Nelson Mandela dreamt of a democratic and free society. Nelson Mandela wanted to eliminate discrimination from South Africa. That was his dream, and he achieved this. That's why he is so much famous in the world. Now, dear students, we will know about apartheid system in South Africa, against which Nelson Mandela fought. You can see a picture which actually indicates the discrimination between non-European peoples and the European peoples. Actually, the white government in South Africa created this policy of apartheid system, by which they actually treated the black people cruelly. Another picture which shows the people are protesting on the street against apartheid policy in South Africa. They are chanting very apartheid. They wanted to abolish apartheid. They wanted to see an end of apartheid system from South Africa, which actually by which actually the white government tried to oppress the black people of South Africa. They created barriers among the people of South Africa. Especially, they treated inhumanly the black people in South Africa. Dear students, now we will know about this apartheid system. What is the apartheid system against which Nelson Mandela fought? Apartheid system was a political and social system in South Africa during the era of white minority rule. Under this system, the people of South Africa were divided by their races, and the different races are forced to live separately from each other. There were laws. There were actually laws placed to ensure that segregation was abided by. So we can see apartheid system was a political system. It was a social system created in South Africa by the government itself. This policy divided people among different races, and people were forced to live, the different races of people are forced to live separately from each other, and law enforcers are placed to ensure that segregation was avoided by the people. So it was really a very inhuman policy. Apartheid was adopted as a formal policy by the South African government. South African government adopted this policy after the ascension of the National Party during the 1948 general elections. Apartheid was a system of racial separation that privileged only the white people only. The black people were deprived. The white people actually got privilege in this system. Apartheid literally means apartness, and was a system of government implemented in South Africa between 1948 and 1994 that separated people according to race in every aspect of daily life, entrenching white minority rule and discriminating against non-white population groups. Another point on apartheid system. Apartheid policy governed relations between South Africa's white minority and non-white minority. This policy governed the relationships between South Africa's white minority people and non-white majority black people especially, and sanctioned racial segregation, separation, and political and economic discrimination against non-whites. Actually, by this policy, under this system, the government created this policy. Actually, the government wanted to create discrimination between among the races of the people. This policy was established by white government of South Africa when the National Party actually came to power. They created the policy. By this policy, they treated the black people inhumanly, very cruelly, like dogs. Mandela's fight against apartheid system in South Africa. Mandela was a black man. From his early life, he actually encountered, he experienced, he saw this the practice of this inhuman policy, apartheid policy in South Africa. He saw his people were suffering very much under this system. So he wanted to change the life of the people. He wanted to overthrow this system, this apartheid policy from South Africa. That's why he fought against apartheid. Now, dear students, we will know how Nelson Mandela fought against this apartheid system. Mandela's fight against apartheid system in South Africa. We can see his wife Winnie Mandela with him. Mandela's fight against apartheid system in South Africa. From his early life, Mandela encountered and experienced the inhuman practice of the apartheid policy in South Africa, which created discriminations among the different races of the people of South Africa. Black people are cruelly treated under the apartheid regime of racial segregation. So the white government created this policy. Under this policy, black people were cruelly treated by the government. Nelson Mandela, as he encountered and experienced this inhuman policy during his early life, in his youth, he actually, along with his comrades, wanted to abolish apartheid and fought for a long period of time against the inhuman policy. In 1944, he joined the African National Congress, ANC, the oldest political party of Africa, and actively worked to abolish the apartheid policies of the ruling National Party. Mandela was among the first to advocate armed resistance to apartheid and went underground in 1961 to form the ANC's armed wing. Dear students, Nelson Mandela was among the first to advocate armed resistance to apartheid. He wanted to change the life of the people of South Africa. He wanted to change the life of the black people of South Africa. He wanted to free the black people of South Africa from the apartheid policy, inhuman policy. That's why at a stage of his life, he wanted to actually advocate armed resistance to apartheid system. That's why he went underground in 1961 and he formed the ANC's armed wing. With this purpose, Mandela left South Africa and traveled different countries of Africa and Europe to build support for the ANC and for his fight against apartheid policy. Mandela had to suffer greatly for the freedom of his people. He led many campaigns against the government. He was arrested and imprisoned several times in his life. So he had to sacrifice a lot for his struggle, for his fight to free his people. We'll know more about Nelson Mandela's fight against apartheid system in South Africa. For his campaigns and movements against apartheid policy, his enemies declared him an outlaw. His enemies branded him a terrorist also and sentenced him to life imprisonment in 1964. He was isolated from millions of his countrymen who were suffering oppression. Mandela was imprisoned for nearly 3 decades for his fight against white minority rule, of white domination. He spent nearly 3 decades in prison for his struggle. Mandela had to undergo physical and mental torture for his struggle. Mandela's mother died in 1968 and his eldest son, Thembi, in 1969. Nelson Mandela was not allowed to attend their funerals. So he had to undergo mental torture also. Mandela never lost his resolve to fight for his people's emancipation and determined to bring down apartheid. Dear students, Mandela was mentally very strong. He wanted to abolish this apartheid policy from South Africa. He wanted to overthrow this policy from South Africa. He never broke down. He was determined to overthrow this policy. That's why he continued fighting against this inhuman policy. He never surrendered. He never thought of surrendering to the white government. Finally, amid growing domestic and international pressures, and with fears of racial civil war, President F.W. de Klerk released him in 1990. Nelson Mandela was released finally in 1990 from the prison cell. Mandela and de Klerk led efforts to negotiate an end to apartheid, which resulted in the 1994 multiracial general election in which Mandela led the ANC to victory and became president. Dear students, the government finally released Nelson Mandela in 1990. And F.W. de Klerk, the then president of South Africa, came to negotiate with Nelson Mandela to end apartheid. And they actually laid the foundations for a new democratic South Africa. That's why F.W. de Klerk and Nelson Mandela got Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. Then in 1994, a general election was held in South Africa, and Nelson Mandela led his party ANC to victory, and he became president for the first time, and he became the first black president in South Africa. This is how Nelson Mandela fought against apartheid policy. Dear students, after going to power, Nelson Mandela tried his best to create a system, to create a government system in which all people can live in harmony and all people can get equal opportunities. Dear students, now we will watch a video on Nelson Mandela, narrated version of the life and times of Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela began his life herding sheep and cattle in the rolling hills of South Africa's Eastern Cape. In his autobiography, part of which was written secretly while in prison, Mandela wrote, "I was not born with a hunger to be free. I was born free. Free in every way that I could know. Free to run in the fields near my mother's hut. Free to swim in the clear stream that ran through my village. Free to roast mealies under the stars and ride the broad backs of slow-moving bulls. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. Nelson Mandela's given name, Holihlahla, literally means tugging at the branches of a tree. But at school, he was given the name of another famous leader.
When I went to school, the lady teacher, Miss Mdingane, asked, "What is your name?" I told her my African name, Holihlahla. She says, "No, I don't want that one. You must have a Christian name." So I say, "No, I don't have one." She says, from today, you are going to be Nelson.
So henceforth, he would be known to the world as Nelson Mandela. As the son of a chief, Nelson Mandela had access to the best education available to black people in South Africa at the time. Studying at Fort Hare University, where he first became involved in student protest, his refusal to accept injustice, unfairness, and inequality would last a lifetime. South Africa, 1941. In his early 20s, Nelson Mandela moved to Johannesburg, where he first encountered the racial discrimination that would later become entrenched in law by the apartheid government. Working on the mines and later as a clerk in a law firm, Mandela pursued his law studies and joined the African National Congress, the oldest black political organization in South Africa.
It was when I came into the African National Congress that I realized that Xhosas are only a part of the African people. That the task of the ANC was to unite the African people and out of them build a nation.
In 1948, the nationalist government was voted into power by the white electorate in South Africa, and the battle lines were clearly drawn.
Comrade Oliver said, "Well, I like this because we now know we have an enemy in power, and I think that we're going to have a better opportunity of mobilizing our people."
Our policy is one which is called by an Afrikaans word apartheid. And I'm afraid that has been misunderstood so often. It could just as easily, and perhaps much better, be described as a policy of good neighborliness.
In 1955, the ANC and other organizations called upon people of all races to gather in Kliptown to approve the Freedom Charter, a blueprint for a free, democratic, and multiracial South Africa, in which all races would be treated equally. Nelson Mandela, one of the chief organizers of the gathering, was banned by the government from attending and was forced to watch proceedings from the sidelines. In 1956, the organizers of the Freedom Charter and other leaders in the Congress movement were charged with high treason. The trial was specifically designed to occupy the opposition and keep them out of politics. It dragged on for 4.5 years, and it would be another 40 years before the Freedom Charter finally bore fruit. South Africa, 1960, Sharpeville, a black township in the industrial area south of Johannesburg. A peaceful crowd gathered to protest against the passed laws was shot at by police. 69 people died. The nationalist government imposed martial law. All opposition was banned and thousands were jailed. When it became clear that all means of peaceful negotiation had been exhausted, Mandela went underground to lead the armed struggle.
We have made it very clear in our policy that South Africa is a country of many races. There is room for all the various races in this country. There are many people who feel that it is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence against a government whose reply is only savage attacks on an unarmed and defenseless people.
key government installations were targeted for sabotage. Mandela became known as the Black Pimpernel. In 1962, Mandela was captured, charged with leaving the country illegally, and sentenced to imprisonment for 5 years. Shortly afterwards, his ANC comrades were captured with evidence which incriminated Mandela. He returned to court for the Rivonia trial, where he and 8 others faced a possible death penalty.
The very speech which was made by Nelson consolidated the spirit of the people outside, because it was a defiant spirit.
I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all nations live together in harmony and with equal opportunity. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if need be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
When Nelson Mandela and several of his colleagues were sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964, the political convicts were sent to Robben Island, the bleak island prison off the Western Cape Coast. Nelson Mandela was 45 years old when he became prisoner number 466 of 1964. He would be in his early 70s before he would again be a free man. Forced to perform futile hard labor in a lime quarry, the prisoners refused to be broken. Far from being diminished, Mandela's moral leadership and stature continued to grow while he was in prison. His young wife, Winnie, continued to be an inspiration to the struggle.
That day is not far when we shall lead you to freedom.
Amanda! Away to power to the people. But the struggle against apartheid would continue for another quarter century. While Nelson Mandela and his co-accused served life sentences on Robben Island, other leaders of all races and in all spheres campaigned for change. Many faced imprisonment or exile. And around the world, ordinary people showed their horror of apartheid and their support for the struggle.
The purpose, friends, of this boycott is for the people of Britain to register on the widest possible scale their passionate protest against an evil and repulsive doctrine which says that a man's legal status, a man's political rights, a man's economic opportunities, a man's social position shall depend solely upon the color of his skin.
But in 1976, Soweto school children marched in protest, and townships around the country erupted in violence. It was the beginning of the end for apartheid, but the struggle dragged on for more than a decade as the Afrikaner nationalist government clung to power.
I've been lenient and patient. Don't push us too far.
In the late 1980s, amid a tide of world pressure, the South African government was forced to accept the inevitable and began dismantling apartheid. In 1990, at the age of 71, Mandela was released unconditionally.
I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you, the people, place the remaining years of my life in your hands.
After leading negotiations for a new South Africa, Nelson Mandela cast his vote in the first free and democratic elections and became the country's first black president.
Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another.
For the duration of his presidential term, and throughout what should have been a well-earned retirement, he has worked tirelessly to entrench the ideals he has so long stood for, becoming universally revered as an icon of leadership and humanity.
When I told one of my advisors a few months ago that I wanted to retire, he growled at me, "Coach, you are retired." If that is really the case, then I should say, I now announce that I'm retiring from retirement.
But in his retirement from retirement, Nelson Mandela has continued to give his support and generosity in countless ways, creating an enduring legacy through the Nelson Mandela Foundation, the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, the Mandela Rhodes Foundation, the Nelson Mandela Institute for Education and Rural Development, and the 46664 campaign. Through 46664, he continues to lend the full force of his extraordinary talent, intellect, and heart to a problem that faces not only his own country, but the world at large. Nelson Mandela, Madiba, we salute you.
Dear students, I think you have got a very clear idea about life and struggles of Nelson Mandela from the video you have just watched. So dear students, I have to stop here for today. I think from my class 1, you have got an idea about life and struggles of Nelson Mandela, about the apartheid policy that was existed in South Africa, and Nelson Mandela's fight against this inhuman apartheid policy, and also his achievements in life. You have also known a little bit about Long Walk to Freedom, the autobiography written by Nelson Mandela. You know, I'm going to take another class on Long Walk to Freedom. In my class 2, I will discuss the text Long Walk to Freedom elaborately. Hope you have enjoyed this class 1, and we will join in my class 2. Thank you very much, dear students. Thank you for watching me.